But the one thing that I point out, and I talk a lot about this in the book, is this is not fundamentally how a traditional school system works. In a traditional school system, we group these kids together in these age-based cohorts. We move them together at a set pace. And on a unit exam, you might get a C, she might get a A, I might get a D. And even though that exam identified weaknesses in our knowledge base, and weaknesses in maybe very fundamental concepts, we then just move on to the next concept, somehow assuming that kids are going to get the more advanced one. And you can get a C on an exam in basic exponents, and then the class will move on to negative exponents or logarithms, somehow expecting you to understand a more advanced version of what you just saw that you had deficiencies. You know, the analogy here is, imagine if you're building a house and you get the contractors to come in and you say, all right, I need to build this foundation. I have exactly 2 weeks. I don't care if the supplies aren't in. I don't care if your workers aren't there. I don't care if it rains during those 2 weeks. You got to build that foundation. And so the contractor does the best he can. And you get the inspector to show up, and the inspector says, well, you know, the concrete's not quite dry, it's not quite structurally sound. I would give this an 80% structural soundness. And you say, great, that's a C. Let's build the first floor. And so you build the first floor, same thing, 75% structurally sound. Great, let's build the second floor. And you keep doing that, and then all of a sudden when the fourth floor collapses, you blame the contractor or you blame the workers, even though what was at fault was this whole process. So you had gaps, you had weaknesses, you identified them, but then you did nothing about them, and you just moved ahead. And so what we say is, instead of the fixed thing being how long you have to learn something and when you learn it, and the variable thing being how well you learn it, we should do it the other way around. The fixed thing should be how well you learn it, and what's variable is how much time you have to learn and when you actually get to approach the subject.